Greetings and blessings all. Hope everyone is having an awesome family day. It is a public holiday here in South Africa. It's a family day for time for people to be spending with their families. So for those who would be spending the day with their families and their loved ones, hope that you have an awesome day. You know, the life of a spiritually called person, many think that it's all glitz and glamour. That's probably based on the people or the personalities that many follow on social media and some on YouTube, where people will be showing like what achievements they've made since they've been on their spiritual path as a spiritual healer. But one thing that a lot of people do not understand and fail to recognize is the journey of a spiritually gifted person is a hard one. I was saying to a friend of mine the other day that the journey of a spiritually gifted person is one I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. Simply because there are certain sacrifices that you need to make in terms of people having to live your life, in terms of the kind of a diet you need to be on, the type of people you need to hang around with. You always need to make sure that you surround yourself with positively minded people that do not engage or indulge in dark spiritual activities. And the sad part is people don't come, printed on their foreheads that this is what I do, this is the kind of person that I am. We always have to give every individual that we come across a benefit of the doubt, where sometimes it ends up, biting us in the ass, and now your path and your journey tends to backtrack. Hence why I'm very, very protective about my personal space. I'm very, very protective about the people that I let enter my home, the people that I let enter my life, and the people that I surround myself with. And in many cases, you end up literally finding yourself just by yourself, because how many times are you going to backslide because of somebody that you bumped into? We go to work, we have colleagues, we have friends, you meet a person, you give that person a hug, only to find that that person messes up your whole journey, messes up your whole aura. So you always have to guard your energy. And I'm saying this because I look at the path that I've been on for quite some time now, and it's only coming to fruition, I would say, recently. I remember back in 2019, back then I literally didn't understand what was going on in my life. Things were tough. My car had broken down, and because of life challenges, I decided to quit work. I resigned from work. I got some monies, and I took the money, and before spending the money, I went to my mother's grave, and which is something that I always do every single year. Like every single year, because my mother and my dad have both since passed away, I'd go to their graveside, just clean and just say a small prayer. And that time after I resigned, I remember it was around January 2019. I took my wife, took my kid, I took my little brother. We all went and cleaned as we usually do. And from there, I made my own prayer to say, you know what, Mom, I've left work. I want to start my own business. I want to start doing forex trading. And before even having resigned, I had been studying forex trading for almost, I'd say, 2 to 3 years. So I had all the books, I had all the videos, that not necessarily all, but as much as I could find. I had a lot of understanding in terms of how financial markets work, because I have a qualification in the financial space. So I had done 2 to 3 years of research, watching videos, trading on a demo account, trying different strategies. I had all this mapped out. I had this plan. I created a spreadsheet to say, okay, if I start with this minimal investment, this is how much I'm going to be making in a month. By the end of the year, I'll have this much. So I went there to say, you know what, Moms, this is what I'm going to do. Please be with me, guide me. This is what I'm going to do. Cool. The first month I started, I just broke even. I think I started with $1,000. At that time, I think it was about 18 grand. I had bought a new laptop. My car had broken down. I had fixed my car. I think it cost me between 40 and 50,000 rand. But at the same time, I still needed to play my part in the home. I still needed to make sure that the lights and water gets paid, the rent gets paid, so that my family doesn't end up finding themselves on the street. So I started trading. First month broke even. Second month, things started picking up. When things started picking up, I think that was during the whole Brexit time. There was a moment where I made about $400. But in the middle of that prayer where I had announced and informed my mother that I would be starting a business in forex trading, I had also said to her that I'm going to come back and do a tombstone for her. I'll come back very soon. I'm going to do a tombstone, good stuff. And I'll get back to why I'm mentioning all these things and why I'm building this context. I made a promise to my mother that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But when I got back to Joburg, I made my own plans, made my own arrangements. And my plan in my head was, let me take this money, put it in Forex, before I do what needs to be done. In our culture, there's something called lobola, which is, some call it dowry. So I had paid something towards my wife's family, and there was still a balance that needed to be paid. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this $1,000, put it in my Forex trading account, and I'm gonna trade my ass off for the next 3 months. Come April 2019, I'll finish paying my wife's dowry, I'll finish paying off my car, I'll buy a house, I'll do my mother's tombstone. I went on my own mission, and I'd say when April came, well, before April, then I got involved in a different business. I literally moved my focus from the initial business that I had communicated to my spiritual guides and to my mother that I was going to do, and focused on the other business. And there was nothing wrong with the business. It was an awesome business model. The brand was beautiful. It resonated with me. I saw it like it was going to boom. But that business, I never mentioned it to anyone. I never announced it. I never communicated that. Now I'm adding another element in terms of business on my plate. Please guide me as well in this space. There I was, I continued. I was trading, I think at that time, around April, May, my account was sitting on $2,000. I put in $1,000, I made $2,000. I was doing good, and it was during the time when South Africa, the leading political party, was doing its electoral conference. So the rand, the currency during that time, was not very, very stable. Well, our currency has always been volatile, but looking at my analysis, it was heading in the right direction. So I put in a trade on it, and I remember that one afternoon I was averaging about $300 a day, 100 minimum, $300 a day. So that afternoon I put in a trade. I was sitting on $350, and I had to go to the revenue services to submit some documents, which was about 10 minutes away from my office. I had offices. Every single morning I'd wake up and go to the office. Everything was going good. Within a period of 10 minutes from me getting into my car to getting to the revenue offices, the market had turned on me. Now I was sitting on $500 in the negative. And there I was starting to panic. I was like, okay, now what on earth was going on? And the biggest mistake that I also did, I had forgotten to put a stop loss. So in Forex, it's a term called stop loss, which assists you in the event that the market doesn't move in the direction that you were anticipating it will move. Your trade just kicks you out and you don't lose any money, or you don't lose that significant amount of money. So I had forgotten to put a stop loss. I had 2 trades going on the rand dollar pair. The market was going against me. Started panicking, started stressing. Long story short, within a period of 2 hours, I lost a whole $1,000. And I think from my trading account, since I started trading, I had only made one withdrawal. So the plan was to grow the account, compound it up until the stage where I'm able to withdraw everything that I had put in, plus the profit, to do what I had planned to do. To cut a long story short, I had to close my trading account because now I realized that if I had continued on that trajectory, I was going to lose more money than I had planned, because at the same time I'm starting on a new business where stable income is not necessarily guaranteed. When you're an entrepreneur, there are days when you will earn an income, there are days when you will not earn income. So I decided, let me withdraw all this money. Took the money. Now I use that money to sustain myself for the rest of the year, with parts and places being where getting some assistance from family members. The moral of the story is, whether you're a spiritually gifted person or not, because at the end of the day, we are spirit. Whatever promise that you make, you need to keep. You need to be very careful about the places and times you make promises, and you need to ensure that whatever happens, you keep that promise, because I had to learn the hard way, whereby now the whole COVID-19 pandemic hit, the whole world was thrown into a frenzy, and when that started, that's when my spiritual awakening began. From the dreams, from the physical manifestations, from the visions, from literally seeing things during broad daylight. And at that point in time, I didn't understand. I'm now at a point in my life where I have to correct the mistakes that I had made in the past, but the price that I have to pay in order to fix those mistakes is higher than what I would have paid initially had I just kept my promise. It's literally harder now to rectify those past mistakes, because back then I got arrogant, I got cocky, and I thought, okay, you know what? Yeah, I made this promise. Doesn't really matter. I'll get back to it. Let me just move on. And I never went back to say to my spiritual guides to say, that plan that I had promised, I didn't fulfill it because of the following reasons. Can you please just give me a different direction? I never did that. I simply just continued living my life as if things were normal and expecting things to fix myself. Only to find that things went from bad to worse, to a point where I lost my car with, I think I had a month or two left to pay it off. Lost my car, things just went sideways, life got even harder. And I'm at a point in my life where now, having learned that very painful or those very painful lessons, when it comes to my spiritual obligations, I take no prisoners. For me, I remember having a chat with my line manager about 2 to 3 weeks ago, where we were discussing about the priorities in life. And he was like to me, in life, especially as a man, there are 3 main priorities that you need to have. Your spirituality being at the apex, being your most important responsibility, followed by your family, and lastly your job. Which simply means, if you focus on your spirituality and you focus on whatever it is that you believe, whether you're a religious person, whether you believe in African spirituality, whether you believe in Hinduism, whether you believe in Judaism, it doesn't really matter. But in every spiritual belief, there are fundamentals and there are moral values. And as long as you live according to those values should guide you in terms of, now, how do you prioritize, secondly, your family, and how do you interact with your family? How do you guide and lead your family? And once you are well grounded as a family man, it leads you into the last responsibility of work. Now, how do you arrive when you get to work? What value do you add when you're getting to work? Because you are spiritually grounded, you are family grounded. When you get to work, you shouldn't be distracted and focus on things that are not really important in your line of work. And I found that very, very profound. And I hadn't even asked him for this level of advice. So what I'm trying to say is, in anything and everything that you do, ensure that you stick to what you initially promised. Never make promises that you cannot keep, because later on you will have to pay a very, very dear price. You will literally need to jump through hoops and do backflips only to correct the previous mistakes. And that wouldn't be your spiritual guides punishing you. That will just be them testing you to see if you are actually serious about what it is that you say you want to do. If you say you want to get married, if you say you want to start a business, if you say you want to go to school, but previously you've communicated the same things and never kept your promise, they'll give you a more harder challenge to overcome, just to test and see if you are actually serious about what it is that you want to do. So, in parting, search yourself, search your soul. I always say to people, most of the time we look for answers in the outside and not realizing or forgetting that the world is full of too many noises. It could be advice from friends, it could be influence from social media, it could be social pressure. There's too many noises that are around us. There comes a time where you just need to quiet your spirit, quiet yourself, find a place which is very, very sacred to you, quiet, and you can just sit there, whether you want to pray, whether you want to meditate, and let your spirits talk to you. Let your spirit guide you, and be willing to listen and to pay attention and to act on what they're giving, what instruction they're giving you. As young people, in many cases, we are very, very rebellious, whereby we get given an instruction, or the advice that we get is not always what we want to hear. And because we don't want to hear that, we decide to go our own route, only to find ourselves stuck, or we find ourselves experiencing difficulties. But had we just stepped back and allowed the process to unfold and said, okay, God, it's in your hands, I've prayed about it, I've left it in your hands, I'm going to continue living my life, but I trust that based on what I've prayed about, you will show me the way. Sometimes the answers that we get are not comfortable answers, especially if now you have mistakes that you need to fix. Sometimes the manner in which we need to fix whatever situation we might be experiencing, the way that we need to fix it is not always what we expect, and is not always what we had hoped for. But one important thing that we need to realize is that that solution that your spiritual guides are giving you, they are giving you a long-lasting solution. We as human beings, we always look for the quick way out. We look for the easiest solution that's going to fix the problem now. Not realizing that maybe to fix this problem, you need a month, you need 3 months, you need a year, you need 2 years. What's important for you to do is to sit and wait and trust the process. But because we are so impatient and we want to have things manifest as quick as we had destroyed them, we end up doing things on our own. And in many cases, every single time and every single turn, I had done that. For me, it went well for a short while, and then from there, everything just fell apart. Even the business that I had moved to focus on, aside from the Forex business, in my mind, the Forex business was going to take me a year to 2 years to get to where I needed to be. That business, we get an investor within a month to 3 months, then everything was going to boom. That business fell apart within 3 months. 3 to 6 months. Within 3 months, I could see that there's no direction here. Within 6 months, then things were on the rocks. Within a year, well, I don't even want to go into that part, because one day I'll start sharing about my business experiences. But what's important is start listening to your spirit and follow what it tells you. We always think, and I remember watching a video on YouTube where they were talking about how we always think that we are so in control and in charge of our lives, forgetting that God is the one that sent us here. Our spiritual guides are the ones that sent us here. And they're the ones that dictate and move us in the right direction. The moment that you decide to do things on your own, you are literally on your own. And we are not that strong enough to deal with life challenges on our own. There are things that need our physical strength, and there are some things and some challenges that are way beyond the physical, which needs to transcend into the spiritual. The moment you start dealing with your challenges from the spiritual coming down to the physical, instead of from the physical to the spiritual, that's the day when you'll start seeing a change and a positive manifestation in your life. So, in parting on this beautiful family day, hope everyone is having an awesome day. Stay true to yourself and stay blessed.